Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this event. I think we are going to give others about 5 minutes, and then we can start when it's 12. Now, just to be sure, are you okay with us recording this?
No problem. I don't mind. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. That's great. So maybe whilst waiting, we can introduce ourselves whilst we're waiting for the others to join. Dr. Jesiwa Ahin. I'm a researcher at UJ Methods Lab. And I think we have our director here, so I'll just hand over to her, Cindy. Yes.
I'm an absolute guest, please. I'm just here to feast, just like anyone else. I'm looking forward to our day, though.
Thank you.
And welcome everyone else that's joining us today. Thank you for sparing the time.
Yes, thank you. We have our head of digital operations also here, Oratile. So she's the one who would be in charge of everything technical. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oratile Segakweng, and I'm the Digital Communications Officer at the Methods Lab. And welcome to this session. I hope everybody enjoys it and takes away so much from it. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you. And we have the head of the Connect, which we are going to enjoy a session of today. Gently, would you introduce yourself?
Could we just ask that to minimize background noise, that people keep their speakers on mute for the duration of the meeting unless they want to say something. Thanks.
I thought you'd introduce yourself too,
Oh,
Jen.
yeah, I introduced myself. I'm Jen. I am chaotic the Connect person. I'm really, really heartened to see everybody here today. Yeah, I'm just really passionate about connecting with people in meaningful ways, and finding ways that we can use these connections to do good in the world, to actually make a difference.
Yes. I think if
Is it better?
you-
Is it better?
no, I think maybe it was the
All right.
maybe people weren't muted. So please, if you
Okay.
could mute or Methods Lab, if you could mute everyone, then yes.
Yeah, very much welcome to the space. It would be really nice if we could just land in the room and have a few people share who they are and how they landed up here today. Maybe also give us your background if you're happy to. If you're happy to, please just step in and unmute, and yeah, we want to hear as many voices as possible. If you don't have a chance to talk in this space, please also just pop your background and your kind of how you found us in the chat. But we'd love to hear from as many people as possible. So, and for those who have the bandwidth, if you can, please could you keep your cameras on? It just makes meetings like this a little bit, or gatherings, let's call it a gathering. Gatherings like this a little more human. And I think that's something that we're really trying to drive, bringing humanity into academia,
Yes, yes.
if that's possible.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nomsat Rubane, and I work for Nelson Mandela University.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought I'm unmuted. Sorry. Okay, my name is Nomsat Rubane, and I work for Nelson Mandela University. I'm doing my master's in development studies. And I ended up here because Prof. Judy is my senior director, and Asamahle Khanti was the one that was coordinating this. So I only heard about it this morning. I saw her speaking on the advert on Instagram, and I'm like, girl, why didn't you add me? And then she was like, I forgot. And then I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think
Pass
you
this.
can put the even if you don't want to speak in the chat, you can just put it in the chat. And I think we want our NMU representative, the one who has done amazing work, the one and only. And this is where we've agreed that she's going to call me Jay, and I'm going to call her Asi. So can we please use this opportunity to welcome Asi, who has coordinated all this and planned all this, for us to say a few words before we officially begin.
Thank you so much, Kia. I appreciate that. And I am Asamahle Khanti. I work for Nelson Mandela University. And I am basically linked to this project through Professor Judy Peter, who is the Senior Director of International Office at Nelson Mandela University. Prof. Peter is basically a contributor to this national level project, which is your Methods Lab Garnet, which is aimed at developing a shared research methods training curriculum for PhD students, honors students, masters in humanities and social sciences around the South African universities. And as Garnet, we basically invited the Nelson Mandela University students to join this session to basically introduce the various projects that are linked to this project and how students can basically onboard and be active as collaborators through this platform. So we really hope that you guys will find this session very helpful, and hope that we will stay connected through this project. Thank you so much to the Methods team for having Nelson Mandela University as part of this project. Thank you.
Thank you too for the amazing work that you've done to facilitate this. And now we hand over to Jen to start. Yeah.
Okay, so welcome again, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And yeah, just again, if you can put your cameras on, please feel free to do so. If you can't, that's perfectly okay too. And if you can't participate via voice, the chat is open, and we just want to hear as much as possible from as many voices as possible. So we're here to launch essentially the chapter of the Methods Lab at NMU, and I mean, it's amazing to see so many people here at our first session. So really, thank you so much to the NMU people, to Asi for facilitating. Today is not going to be a lecture. And it's not really going to be like a standard information session either, or a webinar. So even though we're meeting online, it's definitely not a webinar. And we really want this to feel like a shared thinking space, even though we're meeting virtually online, and we're not in the same space, but technology has allowed us to connect. And yeah, we think that this may be one of the good the better uses of connection and technology. We also want to give you a sense of what the Methods Lab is. But we also, at the same time, we want you to experience the kind of space that we hope that the chapter might become. Okay, so we're at the beginning of a conversation. And yeah, so really the invitation to everyone today is just to be open to think together. Importantly, to remember, you don't have to have polished answers. This isn't a performance. You don't have to sound clever. You don't need to feel like you already know what you're doing or what research is doing. I think that can sometimes put people off. They think research is, you've got to be an expert if you want to say anything. But we are really trying to challenge those assumptions. Everybody here has valuable knowledge and experience that they bring to the space. So this is a space for inquiry. It's a space where we welcome uncertainty. It's not always comfortable, but we welcome uncertainty. We welcome connection, and we really, really are passionate about the idea of connected, collective, and shared sense making. Yeah, as I've already said, because we're online, you're welcome to participate in the chat. Connect with people. If you see someone who says something interesting, please feel free to reach out. We love that sort of thing. A few things to help us make this space work is knowing that you can pass if you want to. If someone gives you hands over a topic to you, and you don't feel able to answer, it's okay. That's fine. You can be unsure. You can change your mind. You can offer half-formed thoughts. So we're here to explore, not to perform. I think in academic spaces, we can often put a lot of pressure on ourselves to say the finished thought, version of a thought. But if you really think about it, a lot of knowledge and exploration is infinite. It's always evolving and changing. And yeah, I mean, I think as people involved in research, we do sometimes find that quite hard to deal with. But yeah, so we are really, really welcoming anything, any contributions, unfinished or otherwise. Let me briefly locate what it is that we're hoping to launch today. The Methods Lab that Jessica introduced everybody to is an interdisciplinary thinking space. It's a research community. What we as the Research Methods Lab, and now that you're all in this discussion, you're all part of the Methods Lab now. We really value community. We are interested in methods, sure, research practice, but we're also interested in dialogue, in open science, and the kinds of intellectual communities, educational communities, that we really need if we're going to make a difference in the world, if we really are going to solve complex problems or attempt to, we think that yeah, we need to embrace complexity. The Methods Lab is not only about training people in technical methods. I think, excuse me, sometimes when you hear the word methods, you think it's like you guys, like obviously it's a textbook, you know, like what's interesting about that. But we really want to cultivate spaces where people can think together carefully, critically, and generously. And the Connect, which is what I'm really describing here, is part of what we see as a broader ecosystem, like almost like the connective tissue that joins up the parts of what we are envisaging for this project as a whole. Again, we really, really are interested in linking people, in linking ideas, in linking methods, in linking institutions, in linking disciplines, in questions and in resources. It's also about making space for the parts of academic research life that can often be hidden. So things like uncertainty, confusion, writing struggles, supervisory challenges, receiving feedback, integrating feedback, confidence, belonging, and the practical realities of how to do research. So today is partly an introduction to the Methods Lab and the Connect, but as I've said, it's also the beginning of a conversation about what this chapter, this NMU Methods Lab chapter can become. So we really don't want this to be something that's simply imported or handed down. We are not colonizers here. We really are about sharing, and yeah. The idea is that this is a space that should be co-created with the people that use, who will use it. So this is for anyone who's interested in research. I think sometimes, sometimes things like this can seem like they're only for students, but we're all students in the journey that is life. And I think sometimes it's really nice for people who are operating as educators to also be able to connect with people who may have resources that could help them. I think we often try and keep our keep our struggles hidden. We in order to present some kind of perfect like outward appearance. But we really do again feel passionate about the space being something that is what people need it to be. We want to start the process by thinking about your experience, your own experiences. So either pop it in the chat or feel free to put your hand up, pass to people. As I said, we'd love to hear your voices. We really want to know, let's start with, in one word, in one sentence, what does research currently feel like for you? Could be positive, negative, whatever is honest. Yeah, so I think to kick us off, I am going to pass to someone who's not spoken. Sean, in one word or one sentence, what does research currently feel like for you?
Hi everyone. My name is Sean, how research feels like, it feels like a roller coaster, I can say. It goes up and down. Sometimes you feel like I should be writing, I'm enjoying this, and then all of a sudden you are lost.
Mhm.
So I could say it's a roller coaster, yeah.
Roller coaster. That's a great description. Yeah. Anyone else feel, Sean, do you want to pass to somebody? I would
So
like to hear
do I
that.
just read out the name?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see quickly. Cindy.
Okay. Research for me feels like a very liberating experience. That sometimes is quite intimidating and absolutely confusing and lonely until you find like-minded people. And I will pass it on to Danica.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Hi, thanks, Cindy. Didn't I thought I kind of
We've lost you, unfortunately. Perhaps try putting your camera off. Do you want to put it in the chat? And then let's ask Fundile Cindy.
Hi everyone. Research actually feels sometimes frustrating after reading so many papers, collecting data, and trying methods that do not work. Also, it sometimes feels there are those small moments of excitement when something finally clicks, like you actually find that pattern that you are looking for. Oh my gosh, the code is working. Oh my gosh, the result makes sense. So yeah, sometimes, yes, a little bit of self-doubt, wondering whether this work is actually good enough, Yeah, something like that. Should I pass it on to someone?
I see Methods Lab has their hand up.
Yes, Methods Lab does have their hand up. And Jen, I just wanted to read a few comments in the chat because I see quite a few people are writing there. I wrote, obviously, from a different laptop that it can feel isolated. And I think Cindy did speak about that. And then Joan said it's challenging and explorative at the same time. Very interesting, Joan. Asemahle then came in there and said can be very scary and overwhelming. And then Danica said she'll obviously type it in the chat. It feels like I landed on an alien planet and my Google Maps isn't updating.
I love that. Love it.
Yeah. And then Zodwa said it can be liberating yet humbling too, which is such a beautiful one. And then Nupani also said learning something new is exciting, but can be a resilience tester. Absolutely. So those are in the chat section. And then I also have Matthew there who just dropped in, and he says it is a journey of discovery with turns and twists, all which demand focus and attention. Thanks, Matthew. So yeah, I'll keep popping in for those in the chat.
Chesewa? Mute. You're on mute.
Okay. All right. So I find research very interesting. And I realize that how I find it has changed depending on where I am. So as an undergrad, it was such a scary experience, going to see your supervisor, because your supervisor also had like a whole lot of students. So they didn't really have enough time for this particular student to interrogate what you needed. So sometimes it felt so difficult. Masters, it felt, oh, okay, I'm gradually getting a picture. And PhD, it was like, I know nothing. I thought, so it kept going, and sometimes even now, you think you have an idea, like, oh, I'm on fire, I'm ready to do it. And then you're sitting there wondering, I think, I'm still struggling and everything. So I realized that there are some honest students here. I'm interested to know what you think about. I want to see, comparatively. So how do honest see research now, than other postgrads too? So anyone who is an honest student, would you like to say something? How are you finding research now? Because for me, it was, oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. Do we have anybody who is an honest student who wants to share? You can put it in the chat.
Hi.
Yes,
Oh,
hi.
hi.
Yes.
I'm Maputi. I'm an honors student for human physiology. So honestly, that is true. I'm literally feeling like I'm searching for a needle in a haystack, and it's so confusing. I just have to find the right ways to do it. And yes, I do have my supervisor, but yet I don't know their role yet. Because I'm like, okay, you're giving me work. Okay, I'm doing research, but like, what am I looking for? What is it that I'm gonna stand out for? I know it's not a matter of like, I just came in and then I have to figure out what is going on. But at the same time, you're just being impatient with yourself. Like, people in the department, they know what they're doing. You are there still figuring out what are the reagents, what is this, what is that. And like, you know that you have to do your proposal, it has to be perfect, it has to align, but you're overwhelmed at the same time. Like, am I gonna do it right? Am I gonna present correctly? Am I gonna answer the questions very well? What is it? What's going on? But yeah, it's just like that. It's overwhelming.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
uncertainty.
Yeah, and I think we have some one in the chat. I'm doing honors and it is very intimidating. I feel lost, as if I bit off more than I could chew. Like, we all feel that way, seriously. But I think it's more intense when it's honest, because you've now been introduced to this whole new way of researching problems around you or questions around you. So yeah, I really do understand because that's how I felt many years ago. But that's exactly how I felt. I felt like, what am I doing? What is this research thing they're talking about? So I agree with also Futi, have I pronounced Mohapi, what you also said. It seems as if everybody has got everything going on right for them, and then I'm the only one who seems to be struggling. So you begin to even think, did I make the right decision to even attend university, to do honors? It makes you question yourself. So I do understand.
Yeah. I mean, thank you so much for everyone who's shared, and please do continue sharing if you feel that you would like to. It's so important. I think what I'm seeing a lot of is that idea of intimidation, of being alone in this and not like just not knowing, and where's the map, and like where's the instruction manual, like, please can I have a script, or like can somebody tell me what to do? And I think please share if this is not your experience, but I think it's interesting that we sometimes treat these as individual problems. These are, and yet they are so common. And yet just about everybody who's spoken or shared has said stuff about not knowing, intimidating, but also like that joy at finding new knowledge. So and that research can feel isolating. But these are shared problems. These are problems shared across academic life. When like someone, our director of the methods lab, has said to me, oh, he struggles with such terrible imposter syndrome. And it's like, wow, like that you can still struggle with imposter syndrome when you are at the peak of your career. And everyone is looking to you for answers. But that really just brings us to this one of the central ideas of the Connect. It's this idea that what we've been seeing is that research is not just a product. It's not just that thesis that you are having to write, or that paper that you are struggling with. It is a practice. It's something that is ongoing. We often think of it as like it's done. Once you've done your thesis, it's finished. And I think what's hard is realizing, yeah, Jesse was said, realizing how little how little you know in comparison to all there is to know. And I think that it seems that a lot of postgraduate research, especially when there's pressure from institutions, can also start to just feel like a performance. You have to have the right title, the perfect proposal, the right theory, the right method, the right reagent. And you have to have the right academic voice in order sometimes to feel like you're being heard. And of course, structure does matter. Method does matter. Rigor does matter. You know, we want to do things that actually have some meaning in the world, some meaning and application. But research, as I think it was Maputi who said that it's like trying out a whole lot of different things. That is all part of the research. It's not only about some correct looking output. Research is really about inquiry, learning how to ask questions, how to make sense of complexity or the overwhelm and intimidation that we feel, how to build a defensible argument, how to, cope with complexity. And that sometimes means that confusion can actually be a sign that you are making progress. It's part of the thinking process. And confusion tells us something is not yet clear. It tells us that we need to understand more, that there's something that we're missing. Or maybe the thing is just really complex. We need to, And sometimes we also need to maybe reframe our questions, rethink what we're doing, try a different reagent in the lab. So while the Methods Lab is interested in creating spaces where we really do value rigorous inquiry, we want stuff that contributes to knowledge that can be used. The Connect creates spaces where people can stay with the process.
Okay, someone has a question, Jen. I would read it to you.
Sure.
Yanela, it says, can you please elaborate more in terms of the important things from a research, like all the things you have just mentioned of methodology, presentation, voice, and formulation of the whole research? I feel like it's really important factor that you have highlighted.
I think, thank you for your question. I think really this is a question that requires several workshops of its own. These are skills that we so often just assume people know, or people must just like imbibe them. these things have to be like osmotically absorbed by being, you know, around the books and whatever. And that is what we're trying to think about here, is how do we, in a way that helps people to actually learn processes of research and learn science and learn whatever subject that they're pursuing, really it is about staying with the process, practicing together, finding people who can help you, sharing resources, asking questions. So thank you, because this is great, like in terms of thinking about what is needed, what we might want this chapter to become. We really also are looking to try and help people to build confidence over time. And it is through having conversations and those, it's sort of like, it's like things don't necessarily, we always want like the solution, the dramatic change, you know, fixed, it's over and done. But when we're dealing with complex issues, it takes time, and sometimes it is in those tiny little ripples. It is in those tiny little conversations. If you all could just take 30 seconds to reflect, what is one thing in your academic journey that you're still trying to figure out? In addition to the methods and the presentation and the voice and the formulation of the whole research. And just either pop your reflection in the chat, or if anybody wants to share out loud. Danica.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. I think something I'm still trying to figure out on top of everything else that you mentioned, like the structure and how not to take my supervisor's word so literally, you know, how to read between the lines and think for myself. I think something is, like, I keep sort of finding myself questioning my own reason sort of for my topic and going back and forth, and I'm always getting distracted by you know, these thoughts of, will it be enough, or will it actually make something tangible in the end? So I think I'm still struggling to just settle down and sort of get on with it. And I think I keep distracting myself and delaying myself by doing that. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you already have some kind of awareness of what it is you're doing.
Yeah, I don't think it's just bad. I think, yeah, I think it's fine, but it's quite like noticeable. It's just something that I noticed on top of doing the actual work, is like this voice in my head constantly asking.
Oh yeah, I'm only too familiar with that voice.
Okay.
She's not very nice. Not very nice all the time. Sometimes she's helpful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into breakout rooms of about 3 people. And we really want to start thinking about, along the lines of Yanella's question, what is it that that this chapter could be? What is it that postgraduate students or academics who maybe at the feel like imposters but are at like peak academia, everyone's looking to you. What are some of the ways in which we can create a chapter that really responds to some of the needs that we're seeing here? Because we don't want to build this around assumptions. We don't want to come in. We really are interested in hearing your voices. So what is it that this chapter could offer to become really valuable. What do you want? What would you need? What would be helpful? What do you think it would have been helpful 10 years ago, you know? So yeah, I think Oratilia will organize breakout rooms, and we will have about 8 minutes. So if we could just try and everybody in the breakout rooms, is everyone comfortable with that? Okay.
The breakout rooms are ready. Thank you. Afternoon, colleagues. The Methods Lab communications here. We have about three more minutes in the breakout rooms, and then we will return to the main room. Afternoon, colleagues. Methods Lab communications here. Would just like to let you know that we have about 1 minute, and then we will return to the main room. Thank you so much. Afternoon, colleagues. Methods Lab communications here. I would just like to inform you that we have about 1 minute left, and then we will be going back to the main room. Thank you so much.
Everyone back. Have we? Oh dear. Okay, we're getting people still. Welcome back, everyone. Apologies for some of the tech glitches, but we are all learning. So please indulge our learning process. Perhaps we can just have a few people who to share with the larger group what they discussed in their group, if they manage to discuss things in their group. And yeah, what do you think would make this chapter helpful? Maybe it would help to think in terms of thinking needs, or would it help to think about questions, research problems, framing their research? Would it be around like a space where you can practice your writing, or presenting, academic reading, feedback? What about support needs? So like guidance, community in a less intimidating space, or maybe it's around connections, like you want to learn about other disciplines, other universities. What are people elsewhere doing? What are opportunities are out there? Does anybody feel that they would like to share? Perhaps Cindy.
Hi everyone. I was in a session with Donald, and Donald is a PhD candidate at the Nelson Mandela Institution. And he said that it would be a very, well, we shared about how helpful if the Connect could be a space where people could learn how to unpack research methodologies, but not as a lecture, but as an exchange of knowledge amongst peers. We also spoke about how much research is such a lonely journey, and sometimes you can even feel like feedback from a supervisor is relatively harsh and crippling. But sometimes if you have a space where you can actually unpack the feedback, you would find that sometimes you've been critiqued on something that you even do in speech. So we even spoke about how sometimes our thought process is also apparent in our writing. So sometimes you can receive feedback that will shine on that, and you don't take it quite well. You step away, it cripples you for a good month, and you can't work, when it's just something that you just had to unpack in a friendly space of fellow researchers and students that are facing the same journey as well. Thank you.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Would anybody else like to share?
I'll say something.
Go ahead.
So in my group, we did speak about that as well as one thing. I know NMMU does have a lot of training workshops and stuff that they present online, which is great for especially people in the beginning stages of their research to get some insight into the processes behind developing your research proposal or your whatever the case may be. But we also spoke about related to what Cindy just said about connection, and that it is really important, and we think it would be really valuable for researchers to connect with each other, not just to talk about these kind of processes or feedback, but also collaborations and networking, because ultimately as a researcher that's really important to kind of build your network and get future collaborations through that process. So that's one aspect that we said would be helpful if it can facilitate that. And then also funding opportunities. I know the university, if you look at the funding page on NMMU's website, there are a lot of options or places that you can go, websites you can go to, and funding you can apply for. But if the chapter can also provide a space for us to discuss kind of funding opportunities, or if someone is aware of a specific research, I know just from my own experience that sometimes funding opportunities come up in the sense that they're topic specific, right? And someone might not be aware of it, that there's a need or a funding opportunity for something that's related to the type of research or the research field that you are in, and an opportunity might come up for you to apply to that. So kind of, speaking about funding opportunities and collaboration, and also just to be aware of maybe, I think what the nice thing is about this chapter is that it's specific to NMMU, but it's integrated into a larger collaboration between universities in South Africa. And if we're looking at funding opportunities as well, if it can even extend beyond that to international funding opportunities and stuff, I think is what my group said would also be helpful.
Wonderful. Anything sparking for anyone else?
Okay, if not, then I think I'll just move to my section then. Yes,
Can I
yes.
add something?
Yes.
I think usually it's like you find that you are in a department, like I'm in the maths department, and you find that there are a couple of people who are at the postgraduate level as I am. So I would say let this chapter be a space where we can actually share our research. I can come up and share what I'm actually doing, and someone could actually pop questions as to, help me with my research before, it goes to examiners, where I can actually present my work. I think that will actually help, because sometimes it's kind of like I'm just presenting to only 2 individuals who are in that space, and it's probably one of them is probably my promoter who already knows my work. And maybe if other people engage, maybe if we can set up a deadline to say, if you would like to present your work, maybe at the end, because we are all busy, we are engaged in a lot of activities. And so if maybe we could say by the end of recess, if you are there and if you want to share your work, let us have a meeting where you can actually present your research. I think that would actually be a good space, because also science communication is very, very important. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you. Yeah, fantastic. That's really, really helpful.
That's really, really important, because the reason why we came here is we want you to decide what your chapter would be. So you would look at the concerns. Okay, no, there's a hand up. Sakile, am I pronouncing your name right? Please speak.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Right. I just wanted to add on to what Fundile was saying. Also, hi, everybody. My name is Sakile. I'm a lecturer and doctoral candidate at Nelson Mandela. In terms of what the group could be, just building on what Fundile was saying, is that if you're sharing your research, it can also perhaps create greater accountability within the community without necessarily the pressure that comes with a deadline that's maybe set by your supervisor to say, okay, I need this chapter by this. Maybe it can be a softer sharing where you're saying, okay, I'm going to share what I've done with Ufundile from maths, who maybe isn't in my discipline, but is also on a doctoral journey and can give me feedback. I also think that I forget who it was that mentioned how debilitating it can be to get feedback from your supervisor, and how hard it is to not take it personally and just say, okay, it's about the study. One of the things that I accidentally came across is, if you shared with the feedback, have somebody else go through it with you. So if Fundile, sorry, Fundile, I'm picking on you because you spoke last, or if Cindy is reading the feedback from my supervisor, you'll find that the voice in which she reads it is less harsh than the voice that I read it in, because it's not about her research, and even the tone, and we do all have imposter syndrome. I'm like, yeah, basically my supervisor saying it's not good enough, and someone else who's more objective would be like, no, that's not how I read it. So I think that could also be very useful support. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That was very, very helpful. And where I did my PhD, we had that, except we called it psychologia. So it was for everybody doing psychology. So people studying chimpanzees, mice, human beings, and then even different ages, the developmental psychologists. So, and what you have to do is you come and present your research, and they said you have to present it so that all these different people understand. So the neuroscientist has to present it in the way that the social psychologist will understand, the one dealing with chimpanzees would understand, and everybody showed up. It was on Thursday afternoons. Everybody showed up. After that, people just keep asking questions. And then you realize that, and it was a very safe space. So they're not asking questions to find out if you've done something wrong. They just want to understand from where they are coming from. And sometimes they can even introduce you to a different way of doing your analysis. So and that space was very helpful, except to us, it was compulsory. You had to do one a year if you were a PhD student. And honest students, undergrads showed up, masters showed up, PhD, postdoc, lecturers, everybody was there. So I think I agree that it could be a very, very helpful space to talk about these things. Any comments or questions before I continue? Would anyone want to add? Okay. Then I'll quickly share my screen. And then one thing I like happening is to be interrupted. So please feel free to interrupt me in the middle of a talk. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit. It's actually going to be very fast about GANET. It's the Grassroots African Research Network. And these are the universities we are currently collaborating with. We have about 1 or 2 who would be joining us. So these are all our colleagues and partners. And then one of the goals is to develop a shared research methods training curriculum for everyone in humanities and social sciences, and to stimulate networking and research collaboration. Because most of the time, research can be so isolating. And again, someone was talking about how sometimes research is specific to, the funding is specific to a particular area. So for instance, if I saw a research in social psychology, but then I know that we could probably create a model, I could just speak to someone who does math and say, come, let's join. And that's what happens in many universities. So it would be good if we could also use those models. And we want to also bridge the gap between being a postgraduate student and an agent of knowledge in your discipline. And I remember that in my breakout room, we talked about that. We talked about the role of African universities, even in contributing to global knowledge, and how sometimes, even on the continent, all the theories and ideas that we have are so Western based. So how can we ensure that we are answering questions relevant to us and showing up in the world? So that's something that the GANET wants to do. And UJ Methods Lab, we have started already. So we have podcasts, we have webinars. The webinars are focused on Africa Tech. So technology being done in Africa, and and it's normally fast. So within 20 minutes, you give us an idea of what you are doing, how we can do it, which softwares to use, and then we all disappear. And then we can go into a connect space to chat about that technology. So that's something that we do. And then we have podcasts, which is where we delve into the theories and lived experience, motivations for research, how research can be isolating, collaborating, finding money, and nothing is off topic. So that's what we also do over there. And there are some also micro credentials, which again, all the collaborating universities are taking part in organizing that. And for the podcasts and webinars, everyone here is welcome to participate. You can have your NMU chapter, or you are welcome to participate in any way. Now the Connect is what we had. Jen took us through an idea of how the space can look like. It's a space where you don't need to pretend, you don't need to pretend to have all the answers. It's a space where you can just be. And as someone commented, it's a space where you can get someone to read your feedback on your behalf, so that it's not just you, because your research is so dear to you. Sometimes even when the critique comes in a way which is not violent, it appears violent to you because you've attached your whole identity and everything to it. And of course, there are some critique that is objectively violent. And in that case, you can get someone to say, oh, no, I think this was too much, or this was, So we have, I remember when I was doing my master's, I had a lecturer comment something, in Moscow, so get the context. And it was a brilliant place. But I remember one of the critiques was like, you talked about all these people, why didn't you? And that's how it came. I'm still saying it that way because that's how it appeared to me. And this was after she had said, let's not go there. So, so what in that case, and for me, I had my community. So I went and I said, guys, this is what she said. And people will say, she was harsh. That's the connect space. So you can have your own connect space where your people will say, that was objectively harsh. And sometimes when you have gone off, maybe you did the wrong analysis, they can tell you, you can get the math person to come and say, no, you shouldn't have run an ANOVA. This is a regression. Then so it's the connect space is for that. It's not a place to critique, it's a place to grow together, to collaborate, and so we can even publish together. And apart from that, we have some available workshops. So we have a dealing with imposter syndrome, preparing to ace your Viva. Then we have data analysis, time management, evidence-based excellence, why every researcher needs data skills. Because I think that once you're in higher education, you need to understand what research methods is right from first year. So in many universities in the West, and I hate to use them as an example, but I have to use them in this case, research methods training starts from first year. So first year students are introduced to the foundations of research and doing research in Excel. So they rank data, it's done. And then second year, they use another software like JAPS, which is open source. Third year, they switch to SPSS or R. What happens is that when you are done with that education, you can even choose to go, you're automatically a data scientist because you know how to use all these softwares and tools. But over here, with some of the feedback that I've got, the introduction is just done when some of them are in honors or even at the master's level, and it's not practical. So that is what the bridge that we also want to, something that we want to bridge, which is teaching research method skills, methodology, things like preparing to ace your Viva. And we can do that in both connect spaces and then in dedicated workshop spaces. So that's something that we also want to collaborate on when it comes to NMU. And then things we don't talk about too much, managing conversations with your supervisor. It can be, there's a whole power dynamics to look at. And then we talk about difficult conversations, being assertive. Because again, if you're going to be very objective, you realize that as soon as you're doing research, you are contributing to something. And even though your supervisor is the expert in a particular area, you two are becoming an expert. So sometimes they would give an opinion or something, which technically you should be able to challenge, So, but how do we do that? How do we create those spaces? So that is something that we also talk about, because we have all said from the beginning that we are all knowers. No one, we are all knowers. We know something. We are all going to contribute to knowledge and development of knowledge on the continent. So how to request a workshop? You pick a research topic or software. So if you want to learn about R, you pick that topic and then you gather your group. So since R is technical, if you get a minimum of 8 people, you're good to go. Then now you determine, are we beginners or intermediate, or which level are we? So you get that, and then you create an attendee list, just names, students, staff emails, or departments. The reason why we ask for departments is so that we can use relevant examples in the workshops. Because if it's in a particular, if maybe you didn't tell us, that I would just come in with a lot of examples from psychology, but maybe it would have been more relevant if I had brought political science or international examples from international relations. So we need the department just to have an idea of the examples to use. Then what you do is you email methodslab@uj.ac.za, and you just give us at least 2 weeks in advance. to prepare for it. And you suggest the date. So we'll just pick one of the dates and we say, see you on that day, and then we run it. Now, even though I have said that for technical, it has to be 8, and if you want an idea about methodology, it has to be 10, there are exceptions. So again, maybe you don't have, you have a writing task that you just want to brainstorm. You're allowed to email Methods Lab, and then we can have a 1-hour one-to-one discussion on it. And then, so that's the exception that we make. And that's, at the moment, we have 2 recurring events. We have the Connect Writing Spaces, which is from Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 10:30. So that's a space to just come and write. And so sometimes you don't need to, you can just come, show up, and then just start writing. But we usually start with a 5 minutes, we call it nonsense writing task. So we can say, write about this. And because it's something that is low stakes, and it's not directly related to what you are going to work on. So we believe that sort of removes the pressure of writing, and hopefully you take that into your proper writing space. And then we have the Connect Thinking Together space, where it's a space with just any topic. And with this one, you can also suggest topics for yourself. So, and then you can come and say, okay, today we want to talk about presentation skills. We want to talk about hierarchy in academia. And those are safe spaces. They are not recorded spaces. We don't record Connect spaces because it's a trusted space, and we use the Chatham rules. So whatever we say in there does not go out. And if you want to use an example in a presentation or something, you anonymize it to the extent that no one would be able to recognize who said what. So those are the rules that we use for the thinking spaces. Now, which brings us to the main reason why we are here today. And this was created by Jen, this image. And this is the NMU Methods Lab chapter ecosystem. And what will happen is we are just giving you this, and you do with it whatever you want. Because again, you look at your environment and you see what is relevant to you. You look at the policy document and see what is allowed. Now, this is, again, it's also similar to what we do at UJ Methods Lab. So we have thinking spaces. We have talks where we talk about research as inquiry, not performance. We talk about the co-creation of knowledge. We talk about peer connection, which we've realized that is something that we really need to emphasize on. We can create virtual spaces, or you can create in-person spaces in Nelson Mandela University to just talk about things. And it's a place of belonging, shared learning. You receive support, navigating your work, having the chance to just think and speak. So we are not suggesting that this is what you follow, but we thought we'd give you an idea of what we would like the Nelson Mandela chapter of the Methods Lab to look like. So yes, I think so I would leave it at this one. Do you have any comments, questions, suggestions, things that you think would be more relevant to NMU? But remember that everything would fall under the Garnet project. So I said, NMU Methods Lab chapter, change your world, and Garnet is here to support. So we came as Garnet, and we are here to support you change your world. So please, if you have any comment, questions, suggestions. Yes.
Hi. Can you please share
my slides?
Can you please? No, the slides, yes, would be very nice. And also, like the social media platforms where it will be easier for us to like talk to you guys and like connect with you guys if we really want something.
Yes. So we are on LinkedIn. We'll send an email to everyone after this. So we are on LinkedIn, Instagram, and all the channels. And we also have an email that you can reach out to us. And I see that Methods Lab has their hand up.
Okay, absolutely. Hi, sorry, I just could not see who was asking the questions. My apologies for that. I am putting in the chats all the website, the WhatsApp channel, the email address, and the social media link. So we are, as Dr. G said, we are open to communication at any time to set up a quick appointment for that. In addition, I am going to also put in a Google Form link with just about 5 questions on this event and what we would like to see, what you rather would like to see going forward in addition to this. So that is where such a suggestion would also go into.
Yes, thank you. So if any, and remember that with, you don't restrict yourself to any, see, one thing I was even thinking was, see how most of the time the perspectives of African scholars it's not out there. And I was thinking, what would happen if NMU and UJ scholars and CPUT can come together, propose a book to one of these publishing companies, Taylor and Francis? Then this is where we also learn. Some of us become the editors, and you don't need to have years of experience being an editor. We will get maybe the partners, the senior partners, the professors, 1 or 2 to join, but then we can have 2 or 3 members, PhD masters, join also as editors. And this is also a learning process. But at the same time, too, it does very well for your CV, which we have to be realistic. We need to work on our CVs too. So all these are things that we can discuss in the Connect spaces, collaboration across universities, across disciplines, across nations. And I'm also, we have partners. I've tried bringing in partners and friends. Let me call them friends who are from St. Andrews, who are willing to come on board to help in any capacity. So again, we can also use those opportunities that would that are available. So please let's take advantage of all these opportunities. So comments, questions, suggestions. Where do we start from? NMU, this is yours, it's not ours. So where do you start from? Who wants to lead this?
That was actually, I wanted to ask, sorry, I'm just jumping in. I know you introduced some more people, Nomsa and Asemahle, I think introduced themselves at the beginning of the meeting, but I didn't take clear notes. So is there someone from NMU side who's kind of like the connecting point here? Because I think my only question is, well, my comment is, this sounds amazing and exciting. And my question is like, how do we start getting involved or, take discussions forward after today?
Yes. So Prof. Judy Peter is the partner in charge at NMU, and Asi is the facilitator. So as soon as you've reached out to either one of them, they'll be able to give you all the information that you need.
May I ask Asemahle to share her email address as well?
Yes, I will share on the chat box. I'll also email everyone further details from Garnet or from Methods Lab using the mailing list that I used to share the meeting link for.
Okay. So that's it.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for thinking together with us. And we look forward to many more conversations. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and if this conversation has sparked anything for you and you have suggestions. So going forward. But we really look forward to seeing each and every one of you at our.
Before we close, can I please ask?
No, please go ahead.
One thing as well. As an honors student, I figured like most of us honors students, strictly from the ones that I saw from the department, as honors student, we're struggling very much on how to find accurate analytic, like that data method, like things that we can use to pick out our data through the research. So we don't know what to use, what to do, which data analysis tools to use. Yeah, so we'd really like some like advice on that, like info on that, on which ones can be more relevant for us at the lowest level of our research.
Okay, so when it comes to data tools, you only pick after you know your research questions and your variables. So we always encourage you, don't pick the tools first. So one thing, and I'm talking about the softwares, and I'm talking about the kind of research, whether you're going to run an ANOVA or a regression or anything. We just say, first start by knowing which questions you have. That's your research questions, or hypothesis, which is your intelligence guess you are making based on either your lived experience or what you have read in the literature. After that, after determining your variables to know which ones you're manipulating and which ones you're seeing as the outcome, then you now decide, okay, maybe I'm running an ANOVA. Now with an ANOVA, you now look at what your university has. Does your university give you access to SPSS? If so, then that's the tool that you would use in this case. If it doesn't, then you have the open source ones like JABS. It works just like SPSS. It's also very easy because it just allows you to click, click, click button, and it gives you the output. Or you have a background in coding. Actually, you don't even need a background in coding, and you think you want to learn R. That's a bit of a learning, sort of like a learning curve, but it's doable because in the end, you can use it in other fields. So I always say, don't pick the tools first. Understand your research first, and then based on that, you look at the available tools, and then you decide on which one you have access to, and then you use it. I don't know that that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does. Even though, like, yes, we do like understand that, but it's even difficult because we have never been introduced to any tool.
That is the
We
problem.
don't know how do they work? What do we do?
Yes.
We know nothing about them. So that's
Yes.
why it's so difficult for us to choose.
Okay, so if you can lead in Mafuthi, if you can lead and get just 8 of your colleagues, request a workshop on tools. I would introduce you to SPSS, JABS, and I'll leave it at that. R for later because I'm still a work in progress when it comes to R. So I would introduce you on tools, and I think we have Grady in our office who is also good with Python. So we'll bring Grady on board, and then we could bring in someone who is more advanced in R, either from NMU. I'm sure we have someone even in this call who would be great at R, and then we can do that. So decide. I'm going to leave that to you to decide. Get your friend. Even if you get 5 people and not able to get 8, you just email us. I'll still run it. I'll still run it for you to introduce you to all the tools, and then we can move on from there because I think it's very important that I wish you had been introduced to it in your first year, but we can do it now. So just email us.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll do just that.
Yes. Yes. You're welcome.
I would like to piggyback on Giasiwa's point about also collaborating with NMU peers here in this session. If there's anyone that feels is comfortable enough to share their knowledge on R or any other tools that we didn't mention at all, please, we're extending an invite to you. As we said, we want this to be approached as a peers work, co-collaborative work. So it's not a top to bottom, not from Methods Lab to NMU, but Methods Lab and Garnet working together. So if there's anyone else also who's looking to share, looking for a platform to share a skill set that they would like to demonstrate on a public space, we do offer the space for you to be able to do that. You can email one of us, or you can email Methods Lab directly, and we will kickstart the conversation moving forward. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And yes, she's adding that we add her to the list too for the introduction to methods. Yes, we would. Yes. Okay. Oh, okay. That was to. Yes, that wasn't to me. Yes. Just let us know how, whatever you want, and Methods Lab would provide it. Yes. Any questions, comments? I'll share the slides, so you have the slides. And then you can questions, comment. Okay, so we are right on time. Yes.
Okay. Based on the workshop, please, if you really want to join, it's okay. They can email me, and then I'll just share their emails as well via the email that I'm going to send to the methods lab thingy. So please just email me on my email. So if you type Maputi Mohabi, it'll appear full email on the Outlook.
Let's go, Maputi. Let's go. I love this energy. Yes.
Yes.
Email her. Let's
Yes.
go.
And for the PhDs, if you're interested in postdocs, not necessarily it doesn't have to be in Africa. I know I sound like a hypocrite saying this. Let's have a meeting to sit down. We can have a connect space where we see how to navigate those things. Because there are postdoc opportunities out there, it doesn't have to be in NMU, So, and for the honors who are still here too, if you're thinking of, and I'm hoping the goal is to get you to stay on to do a PhD. There's nothing more beautiful than having your master's and PhD paid for you, because learning already is a huge tax for us. So if you have to pay for it in addition, then it becomes even extra burdensome. So again, the Methods Lab will also have spaces like that where we talk about applying for masters and PhDs, both in South Africa, the rest of the African continent, and abroad. The goal will be to get to doing it for free. And then you come back to use the knowledge on the continent. But if you can get it for free. So we have those spaces too. Again, if you want such a session, request it, and then we would run it for you. So thank you very much. I think, would anyone have a closing comment? Because that's us done.
Dr. Mathia, we will turn this to you.
Sorry, guys. Can I just interrupt quickly?
Go for it.
Yes.
It's just maybe some technical information. So the university, through the Office of Research Development, they do run a Introduction to R and Basic Descriptive Statistics workshop. So last year, it was actually around April. I don't know. I assume it'll run again sometime. So then it may be more beneficial than to offer using SPSS and I think it's called JAB.
Yeah.
Source one.
Okay.
And then, I see from our homepage as well, the university also has a license for Statistica. So that might be an opportunity. Thanks.
Okay, that's fair. In that case, we will do what your university doesn't do so that we don't overlap. That's perfect. Thanks for letting us know. Okay, so we will look at SPSS and JABs for the workshop that we are planning. I think that's fair. Thank you for letting us know. Thank you for letting us know.
I wanted to say probably the student, I think maybe because the student is speaking on the honors level, I think they are unable to join the workshop that the university provides due to the time. If you set up a workshop around, let me say 8 up until 3, they are still in their lecture classroom, so they can't actually join in the space. So for everyone, I think I'm speaking for everyone. The reason why students most of the time they can't join is because our schedule is very busy, especially in the morning up until you get to relax up until like 6 p.m. So anything that's actually set around 8 to 4, you may find that we are actually busy. So we can't actually join in the space. Even if you can see a workshop, you're like, okay, I want to actually attend this workshop. But the problem is the time. It could be clashing with one of maybe something that you have to do, which is a lecture, or you have to attend something. So I think that's the reason. But our university, our institution does actually provide R and so all those things they do provide them. The students should actually check their memo because it's actually being advertised there.
Okay, so you talked about the time. So the time is what is often the problem. Okay.
So sorry, I started to add, but I think I've just been reminded of something. So Maputi, I think, actually makes a good point as an honor student, because I know we have a stats department that assists students that are doing quantitative statistical work. However, this is only provided to master's and doctoral students. So there's obviously a gap there where the honor students also need this kind of support, but it's not available to them. And I definitely think that's something that Garnet can help address.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Yes,
It's open to anyone, even high school students, retired people. We really are open to everybody.
Sakile, would you have time for us to unpack this conversation privately after not today, but we'll reach out. Would you be open to that?
Yes, I would. Sure.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, so there's a post-event questionnaire in the chat. Please tell us what we did right, what we did not do right, what we can improve on, and next time what you prefer that we focus on. So we would love such feedback from you. It was nice interacting with everyone here. And again, if you want such a session, just reach out to the Methods Lab and we'd be happy to run it. But we hand over the NMU chapter to you and we say, go change your world with it. We'll be supporting in the background. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We're so happy that you were here. Yes, thank you. Goodbye. Thank you.